Yo, what's up, guys? It's Tim Brazil. I'm here with one of my clients, Arna. We've been working together for about 4 months now. And one thing I wanted to talk with him about, because he really turned things up in terms of his results, getting a lot more dates lately. I just wanted to strike while the iron's hot and talk to him about some of the changes he made, because it was a pretty overnight shift, even though we've been working together for a while. So why don't you first introduce yourself, talk a little bit about, just your life situation in general, like where you're at right now, so people kind of know where you're coming from.
Okay, so I'm Arne. I'm from the Netherlands. Currently, I'm a student. I'm 19 years old, and well, as Tim mentioned, I've been working with him for around 4 months now. And yeah, like recently, things have really been going a lot better. And yeah,
Cool. So why don't you talk a little bit about your dating experience leading up to, because you started working with me like when you were 18. You just turned 19, so you were like pretty
yeah.
young. Talk about what your dating experience was like leading up to when we started working together.
So before we started working together,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so yeah, before we started working together, I don't know. I hadn't really had too many experiences with women, like in middle and in high school. I liked girls, but I didn't really know what to do about that other than like,
Yeah.
I don't know, just kind of sit there, be like, oh, yeah, and not really say anything because I didn't know what to say and I didn't know what to do. So it's just pretty awkward about that.
Mm.
And I have had like asked the girl out before, but it was like really awkward. Like I was building up to it, and I was like, at some point, I was like, "Oh, do you want to go like bowling?" And she was like, "No." And then I was like, "Okay." And then I don't know. I was just like the typical nice guy type of situation where you're just like, I don't know, really stressed about like asking girl out and stuff like that. I did have a girlfriend at that time, but to be honest, like she initiated everything. Like she was the one who reached out to me. She was the one who was flirting all the time. And I just kind of went along with it. And like all of the experiences I did have had before with women were always kind of like that, where like they showed like a lot of interest. I just kind of went along with it. But I was never really in the position or something where I was the one actually showing interest in them and actually like expressing that in a way which would be considered attractive or which would actually work.
Can you tell everybody like what was the experience or what was the thing that made you realize like, okay, I really just want to get this sorted and get help with this?
Okay, yeah. So the thing that really kind of got me to actually get into this is that like I was at a party with like friends of mine at my friend's house, and I could tell this girl was like, I don't know, interested in me or whatever, because like she was sitting like real close to me, like we were leg to leg and everything. And like I don't know, like things were going pretty well, but I didn't know like how to take things further because it was like, yeah, well, we're with friends and like I don't know, I can't really like take her someplace else. And like honestly, even if I could, I probably wouldn't have because it's just like way too like in my head about things to be able to do something like that. And then at some point the evening just kind of ended or something. And like I slept over at my friend, she slept over at my friend's, and well, my friend was there, so we were only with the three of us. And then I don't know, at some point we went upstairs and I was just like, okay, should I like do something about it or whatever? I was having like this sort of vision of like, oh, I would get up out of my bed, like knock on her door and just like kind of like, this type of thing. Then the next morning I found out that like she was in the bed with my friend, and I was just like, fuck this, bro. Like, and before that, I also had another experience where we went out and there was this girl I liked, and I went over and like, I've had so many experiences where I was just like kind of close, but I was just like flustered or something, or didn't like couldn't really make the actual move, like no physical touching, no nothing, and just
Mhm.
but like that night with the girl ending up in my friend's bed was really the thing that like was like, no, fuck this. We need
Yeah.
to change this.
Yeah. No, for me, it was like pretty similar actually. There's a lot of situations where like a girl, like when you don't know a lot about women, you kind of put this like halo effect on them where you're like, oh no,
Yeah.
like she really needs to like you to like go home with you or like whatever. Like things need to be special. You need to do things just the right way or else it won't work. And then you like see them like go home with just like some random dude that they just met and like,
Yeah.
well, what's that guy doing? Like, I don't really get it. And a lot of times it's just like you lack the confidence to like go for what you want, even though you know it's the right thing. Like a lot of times,
Yeah.
like you knew it would have been the right thing to like make a move on that girl. You just like were not
Mm,
confident enough to do it. And you like didn't know what to do.
yeah, definitely.
So what do you think out of us working together, like what do you think has been, because we'll talk about your results in a second, but what do you think has been the most influential on your life? Like what do you think has changed things the most? Like the biggest thing that I've done that's helped you?
So for me, probably the thing, like the biggest thing you've done that's helped me is just like it is like a lot of mindset where like obviously there's the practical type of thing, like oh, like do this, like hand, like some sort of like trick-ish thing, I guess. And like those are obviously also very useful because you can like use them in practice. But the hardest thing in the practice is actually like feeling confident enough to like do those things, like really being able to maintain that frame like you always talk about. And for that, I really like had a lot of like use from you saying like to basically take the pressure more off myself and like to I don't know, really just I don't know, like in a way feel a lot more at ease like expressing what I'm like thinking and feeling to a girl in a confident way, like how to do that. Because I don't know, I always thought it was like cringe to say certain things, or I felt like awkward trying to say certain things, or it's just so that's been like a whole journey for me, like getting used to that and just like having that constant like reminder and sort of like coaching in a way where you kind of start understanding that it's like fucking normal and like actually how to do that has been like probably the most influential thing.
Yeah. No, it's huge to be able to like get to the point where you can like authentically like express what you're thinking without feeling like
Yeah,
a fucking weirdo, basically. Like
exactly. Yeah.
that's the biggest thing is like being able to like just honestly having someone behind you that like knows it feels weird, but also can just tell you like, hey man, like this is fine. Just relax
Yeah.
and you're good.
Yeah.
Um, cool. So let's talk about like the fun part. Like what kind of, because I know before you'd only been with like one girl before. You had maybe like I don't know if you've been in one relationship or like a couple. But I knew for a fact you'd
The
only
one
been
that really counted,
okay.
the others didn't really count. No.
Got it. So like one real relationship before, and then other than that, like really not much experience with women. And why don't you just tell everybody like your results just in like the last like couple weeks?
Yeah. So the last couple weeks, especially, have been like crazy, and we'll probably get into like maybe why like after. But yeah, so the last few weeks, I've just been going on like a lot more dates, and like for example, this week I actually had like 5 dates planned. So I just had like 2 dates today. Uh, I would probably have another one tomorrow actually with one of the girls I met with today. Like that just came in. And then Friday I have another one, and Saturday I have another one. And like for example, last weekend I had like another date on Friday with like a second date with a girl, and then on Saturday I went out for carnivals, and I actually like a really fun experience with a girl there. I don't know, just in the flow, like you say sometimes, and like twirled the girl around like I told you about, and like we just had a very fun night. So I'm seeing that girl this Saturday. I'm really looking forward to that one. And yeah, the week before that it started, and I had like 2 dates then as well. So just last 2 to 3 weeks, just been wild. Like, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, dude. No, those I will say, like it's cool going on like a lot of dates, but the instant date type things, like where you just go to an event, like I don't know if you went with friends or whatever, but like for me, like I would go like to places just by myself. Once I knew kind
mm,
of how to do this stuff, I would just go by myself to like places where I knew people would be, and I would like find a girl. I'd
yeah,
be like, I'm gonna find my date for this event, like at the event. And it was like fucking so
mm,
fun. That's like one of the most cool things ever, is like being able to do
yeah,
that.
yeah. No, I did go with a friend, and like even my sister came to the carnivals, and then like my sister's fucking funny, so she was like, "Oh, I'm gonna like go to my friends now because otherwise I'm gonna be stealing your riz because others are gonna be thinking I'm your girlfriend and stuff like that,"
Yeah.
which was probably actually true because obviously she's my sister, so I'm also having fun with her. like just dancing and stuff. But
Mm.
and then I don't know, at some point, like I always at these events, I'm kind of like first like scouting around, like getting a bit more comfortable and stuff, and then just dancing. And then I saw this girl, and I don't know, I like the way she looked, and like she was dressed as like a cheerleader or something, so she just looked like a fun girl. And then, well, things went pretty well. So yeah, it was just a cool overall experience.
Yeah, that's really cool. What do you think was like, because just to be clear, like this is basically you going from almost no results, working through for like a couple months, like working through a lot of this mindset stuff. You got some results,
Yeah,
like you got some dates and stuff. And there were a few experiences like you had at the club, like sporadically, where like girls definitely
yeah,
could have taken them home. You just like didn't capitalize on it, things like that.
yeah.
But like this is the first time where like it's really taken off. And you basically went from like almost no results or very sporadic results to like getting laid with like two different girls in like 1 week overnight almost. So like what do
Yeah,
you
that
think
was
was
literally 2 days in, well, not, oh no, not 2 days in a row, but like the those were the same two girls, but the one girl just
yeah,
took a week longer.
yeah, exactly. Dude, just wait till Jesus. Just wait till it's like two girls in 1 day. That's the wild one. Or like three girls in 1 day. Shit's crazy.
Oh,
What do you feel like was the biggest shift that you made, the biggest change that you made that helped you bridge that gap? Because that's like pretty overnight change.
okay, so for me, it was really just like, so when I actually like started the program, I was like taking a lot more action and stuff, but then I got like results pretty quickly back then. But that was like a one-time type of thing. Like, I met that girl at a party with my friends, and we had like one day, and like straight after the date, she came home with me, and then like we had another date, and well, that went like pretty well as well. She stayed for like a long time. We didn't have sex or anything, but like still, things happen. But then after that, she didn't really want to see me again. But the fact that I had things going with that girl at that point kind of just slowed down my progress in like, like approaching and all that kind of stuff. Because like, you get this feeling like, oh yeah, I'm kind of like there already or something. Like, oh yeah, I'm doing like very well for myself. And then that went away, and I was like, I dropped into a hole. I just didn't feel as motivated to work on things. And I think what really changed it back again was at some point I was like, fuck this, we need to start like working on this again. And then um yeah, like cutting my hair was actually a pretty big part of it, to be honest. Like I cut my hair, and after that I was like, okay, let's make like new Tinder profile, let's get that rolling again. And then in like the coaching calls, we were like, yeah, fuck this, you gotta go out. And I was like, okay, fuck it, gonna be going out. So just the going out, having the Tinder profile on, just like swiping around, sending out texts, going out like on my own, and just like trying to like put myself out there and like get out of my comfort zone basically, was really what changed a lot of that. Because at some point when I was on Tinder and I started like getting matches in, like I started getting numbers, like the abundance thing is, I think, like the probably the biggest thing that has shifted things around for me.
Yeah, no, exactly. Like once it's really hard to like start taking action, but once you start taking action, you start seeing any sort of positive results. And especially when you start getting rejected and you're like, oh shit, like I'm fine after rejection. Rejection doesn't affect me as much. And then you
Yeah.
start like going out more and more. You start seeing like, okay, you get a little positive experience here, positive experience there, and it starts like rolling in. That's when it
Mhm.
gets like really, really good, especially when you know that you're always, at least once a week, if not two or three times a week, you're getting feedback from someone that like knows what the fuck they're talking about too. Like it's
Exactly.
you're not really a guy that likes to wait around and fuck around and wait for things to happen. You actually kind of are way more aggressive at like solving issues in your life than most young guys I've ever met. So
Hmm.
what advice would you have for someone watching this that and by the way, don't make this like a pitch for my coaching or anything. Like genuinely, what
Yeah.
advice do you have for someone that is considering getting a mentor or getting help with their dating life and like isn't sure if they should do it, whether it's from like a financial perspective, they'd have to like get creative to like find the money or whatever, and they think that they should just try to figure it out on their own. Like what advice do you have for someone like that?
So for me, it's really just like you mentioned, like I don't know, I have just this attitude where I know certain things will be good for me. Like, for example, with working out, like I know I want to have a healthy body and I want to like look strong and be strong and feel strong. And for me to be able to do that, I obviously need to work out. And so, uh, like I can like fuck around in the gym and just like start lifting weights randomly, or I can actually like search for a way to do it in a way that's actually gonna get me there, not necessarily as fast as possible, but at least in a consistent way where I can just do something consistently over time and I know that I will get there within time. And like to me, there's no point in like waiting longer. Like, why would I wait 2 years to start taking that action consistently? Because I'm just slowing my progress down by 2 years by just fucking around randomly. For me, the same thing with dating. So, like, I don't know, I just see a lot of guys around me like having the same thing that I was having. They're like so nervous about everything, making such a big deal of this whole thing. Like, just I don't know, just friends of mine, for example, that like they're talking about like this girl that like rejected them and like they feel fucking bad about it and stuff. And they're all, and then like the other friends will come in and like feel sorry for the guy and are like, oh yeah, that's so like so bad and stuff. And then at some point, the girl or friends of the girl like tell the guy that like, oh yeah, but you should probably try this or whatever, or maybe she is interested in you, and they still feel like they have this chance. You're basically like just in this space where there's literally nothing is happening, but you feel like something is happening because like, oh, she is giving me attention and stuff like that. And that's just the fucking worst spot to be in. And so I don't know, for me, it was just like it was a pretty like obvious choice because I was like, I want to be good at this. Like when I actually see a girl that I think might be like my dream wife or like someone I would really want to connect with and maybe like I don't know, see myself with for like the rest of my life or whatever. I don't want to be that guy who's like sitting in the corner being all scared to go talk to women he finds attractive and like let that chance slip away because I just know that I'm like it was also to do with like my previous relationship where I just kind of like settled for that. Like and I noticed how easily that went. And like I did get out of that, but I was like, I don't want to like have this happen again. I don't want to settle for another girl that I don't think is like I don't know, that I don't see myself being with for like the rest of my life and really being happy with it and stuff. So like to me it was just an obvious choice to really start working on this.